is the Vivo V23 5G. And given that the mid-range category of phones is so dang competitive, this phone offers some really fascinating strengths over its competition. Now, this video is sponsored by Vivo, so accordingly, I'm not going to be reviewing this phone, but given that it has some really unique features, I wanted to share some of my favorites. In fact, I've got 7 features in particular that I reckon you'll get a kick out of. And first up, we have the unboxing experience. And in a day and age of phones coming with sometimes nothing but the phone in the box, Vivo really has gone all out with the unboxing experience of this phone. Of course, we have the phone itself, which we'll come back to in a moment, but then beneath that, the first thing you'll find is a clear TPU case, which is such a handy inclusion. I have friends and family who literally don't buy a phone until a case they've bought for it comes first. So having one in the box is very much appreciated. And then below this paperwork, we have a 44-watt charger brick for super fast charging, a pair of in-ear headphones, which you pretty much never see these days, so that's really appreciated. And then we have our SIM ejector tool and a USB Type-C cable. And then there's the phone. And with the phone unwrapped, the next super unique feature I love about this phone is its design. We have a full glass back that has this incredible matte coated texture to go with, these beautiful flat rails, which is a design language I really like, and then we have this gorgeous flat display on the front. And all 3 of these elements combined make for a phone that feels phenomenal in the hand. And yes, for those wondering, the edges are flat enough to where the phone can sit upright without any support. But the real talking point here in terms of design is this color changing glass panel on the back. Yep, you heard that right. So not only does the gradient shift colors as you rotate the device in your hand, which looks really cool in and of itself, but even more than that, when it's exposed to sunlight and UV light for a short period, the color of the back panel actually full on changes to this beautiful bluish color, which is super impressive. It'll then stay that color for as long as it's exposed to UV light, and then it'll fade back to its original gold color within a few minutes of coming back inside. But I've personally never seen this feature on a phone, and I reckon it's super cool. All right, the third feature that I really like about this phone is the display. For one, it's an OLED, which is a must in my books. 2, it gets decently bright, making it great for outdoor use. But then the cherry on top is that it has a beautiful, silky smooth 90 Hz refresh rate. And I know, some of you might be put off by the fact that this is only a 90 Hz panel and not a 120 Hz panel, but I've always said that 90 Hz is a real sweet spot in terms of a display, because not only is the difference from a 120 Hz panel pretty much negligible, but it also allows for improved battery life. And speaking of battery life, that is actually the 4th really impressive feature that, quite frankly, surprised me about this phone. Now, I say surprised because on paper it has a respectable but not ginormous 4200 mAh cell inside, but in real world performance, this phone is super hard to kill in a single day. And in fact, with light to moderate use, I could see users quite easily being able to stretch this thing to 2 days of use. For example, there have been several days where the phone's been sitting above 50% when I'm hopping into bed and placing it on to charge. And so if battery life is something you place a high priority on, well, this phone delivers. All right, next up is performance. And for the spec heads out there, this phone ships with the MediaTek Dimensity 920 chipset inside, which is a mid-range chip, but don't let that fool you because the phone performs really well. For pretty much every day-to-day task you can throw at this thing, it handles it beautifully. I've not had one stutter or drop in performance throughout my time testing this phone, and so whilst it's definitely not gonna outperform flagship chips, it's certainly no slouch at the same time. The phone also comes with either 8 or 12 gigabytes of RAM, but then on top of that, it also has an extended RAM feature, which means you can increase your RAM by using 4 gigabytes of the phone's internal storage. Very cool. Okay, on to feature number 6, and this is where we get to start talking about the cameras on this phone. And to be more specific, the selfie camera, or should I say cameras, are on another level altogether. So you might have noticed that on the front of this phone, we have a somewhat larger than usual notch style cutout up the top here, but there's a very good reason for that. And that's because we have not one, but two selfie cameras. A 50 megapixel behemoth main selfie shooter, as well as an 8 megapixel, 105 degree ultra wide selfie camera. And having an ultra wide selfie camera is a seriously underrated feature that I wish more phones on the market had. But if having two selfie cameras wasn't enough, then you also get these really cool dual tone selfie spotlights on the front of the phone for improved low light shooting. And you can even adjust the color temperature of these lights to match the environment that you're in. And when you pair that with the crazy amount of portrait and creative effects available, your selfie images and videos are gonna be unmatched. Oh, and real quick, if you're looking to make the most of these selfie cameras, then here are 5 quick tips to maximize the end results of your selfie images. Firstly, if you're outside and it's a sunny day, don't face the sun. Put it behind you and out of shot to act as a backlight. It was actually raining when I shot this example footage, so you'll just have to imagine with me that I am in fact putting the sun behind me. Then turn on the dual tone spotlights to lift the exposure on your face. Third, make sure you place a bit of depth in between yourself and the background. A lot of people think that standing against a plain wall is gonna look best, but in reality, it just looks a bit boring. In fact, if possible, try and place some trees or foliage in the background. Fourth, switch to portrait mode and tap the little F icon here to increase or decrease the depth effect. I recommend somewhere around f4 to f2.8, but then I also suggest playing around with the various bokeh effects to adjust how your background looks. And finally, make sure you stretch your arm as far as you can and raise it a little higher than eye level, and then snap the shot. And when you look at the before and after, you can see how much of a difference those simple steps can make to the quality of your selfie images. And so then we come to the 7th and final feature that makes this device even more impressive on top of all of the other features I've already mentioned, and that is, of course, the price. Now, the exact amount does fluctuate a little depending on where you pick it up, but in pretty much all regions, it costs well under $500 US, which makes it a very affordable option. If you place a high priority on the design of a phone alongside battery life and selfie camera performance, well then this phone has got you covered. But aside from that, that's it. This has been a pretty cool phone to check out, so thanks to Vivo for sending it my way and for supporting the channel. If you enjoyed the video, then a sub would be greatly appreciated. But thank you all very much for watching, and I will catch you later.